Georgia Tech finds a way to win again. 7-0 for the first time since 1966. If they beat Syracuse at home this Saturday at noon here on The Fan, it would be 5-0 in the ACC for the first time ever. So this is now where the program is.
So I got
historic proportions.
I got a buddy who lives in New Jersey, and let's just say that not knowing anything about college football doesn't mean you don't bet on college football. I mean, I was doing that 35 years ago before I moved down here. You bet on college football. You think you know something. I got a guy up there who was asking me about Tech because he knew they were going to be in the top 10. He's like, how high up they're going to go? I said, I'm not really sure. Enough stuff's happening in front of them where they're going to be in the top 10. There's no doubt about it. That's just the math of it. They'll move in. He sees the Haynes King play where he looks over to the sideline. Do I go down? Do I not? Which is just, it's a phenomenal look.
That's how far in the clear he was. He had time to kind of glance to the sidelines and kind of communicate with them. Nobody was near him.
So my buddy in New Jersey, who knows nothing except he'd like to bet some college football games, because college football doesn't stir his trigger. You know, he's in for the postseason. He enjoys the entertainment of it. He said, what's going on with that Georgia Tech team? Guy hasn't asked me that ever. I'm not even kidding. Never. I said, I don't know. Go look at the top 10. It's Indiana, it's Vanderbilt, it's Georgia Tech, and then a couple of blue bloods. College football, man, you're missing out on it. This is really good. But then he asked me again, how good are they? I said, good enough to be undefeated and in the top 10. I said, you want me to go a little bit further than that? They maybe have the toughest kid in the country playing quarterback for them, and you have no idea because you're going to look at how many touchdown passes he has.
And they are number 7 right now. First time they've been number 7 since 2009. But these tight games, are they wearing on Coach Brent Key? Here's what he had to say afterwards.
Special group of men. They are. I mean, they got to stop doing this to me, though. But that's our MO, right? I mean, one-score games or something, but at least this was actually finished a 2-score game, so we're making progress. But you know, the belief this team has, it has a lot to do with how close they are. This is a close-knit team, and you don't see that a lot anymore.
And they don't roll over. You know, Duke is moving the ball left and right easily in that first half. They get down to the goal line, and you're running an option read on the goal line, which to me is a massive mistake. But kudos to Tech. Like Georgia against Auburn, they were not going to break in that situation. Next thing you know, they go 95 yards the other way, and it's 7-0 Tech.
Scoop and score. Every once in a while, you have to have that play where everybody goes, oh, damn, did you see that? How'd you do it? How'd you flip whether it's momentum, how'd you flip the scoreboard, how'd you flip the field if you don't bring it in to score? There are certain plays that you see in a game. How do you remain undefeated? I can tell you what didn't happen for a couple of teams, the ones who lost. See Ole Miss and a few others. Find the teams that had one loss that now have 2 because they couldn't find a big play moment in their football game. And Georgia Tech had a big play moment. They had a big play moment. That ball's on the ground. That's a freebie. You know what you probably want to do? Pick it up and be fast enough where nobody can catch you.
And they don't score until late in the game. In the fourth quarter, they have that 72-yard touchdown drive to give them a 20-10 lead. But Haynes King has that long touchdown run late to clinch the game, the 28-yarder. Here he is talking about the attitude of this club.
We have a veteran group of leaders, and nobody really panics. You know, at times, you know, some people, you know, rip into each other, but, you know, that's just brotherly love. But at the end of the day, like, nobody really panics, and it's more of like, you know, towards the end of the game, everybody almost kind of has that same goal, that same mentality of you know, we're going to will ourselves to win. Whatever it is, we're going to find a way.
You know, it's one thing to say that, Chris. It's another thing to do it week in and week out. That's what this team has done. You could talk about the competition. They're finding ways to win. And now you're talking about Georgia Tech being 7-0 for the 8th time in the history of this school. So I don't care who they're playing. This doesn't happen to Georgia Tech.
Well, one of the things is you might be better on one side of the football, and it's a really good chance you are. If you're a good football team, there's a side, we say, the locker room, oh, it's a little bit tilted that way. My point about a scoop and score, my point about a Haynes King going in from wherever he goes in from any place on the field, there's enough plays being made on both sides of the football where everybody is in on this. You know, you can talk about brotherhood and you can talk about everybody likes each other. You know what you don't have to do or you can't do with this team realistically? You can't point at one side of the locker room and go, we're better than them. Because on a given day, given moment, you might be, but guess what? That guy's done his share as well. There can be none of that in that locker room. Nobody's looking side-eye at anybody because if a play needs to be made, they've made them both on offense and they've made them on defense.
Now, what about Haynes King looking over his shoulder on that 28-yard run? Here he is talking about that.
I mean, that was probably like the first time that we didn't really full-on discuss, you know, if it's no mas, if it's not, stuff like that. I think everybody was just kind of had the mindset of, like, go win it. And then when I broke it, I just wanted that second opinion to see if I needed to go down or not. And I just saw everybody, you know, score. So I just... ended up scoring it.
All right. He had the wherewithal to go look, because in case you don't realize, what he's asking is, what do we want to do? Do we want to put it up, or we would just want to run clock? And I don't even know if he got an answer back, but he made the right choice. And I'll say this, that's not a padding your stats. He earned that. But that's also another one where you go, if somebody else is going to talk about Haynes King and his ability to be smart as a quarterback, tough as a quarterback, athletic enough as a quarterback, there it is, all wrapped into one play. And by the way, Omar Daniels, the other part is when you pick that thing up, nobody was catching him. You have a good enough athlete where you just go, I got a 5-yard lead, I got a 12-yard lead, I got a 17, and nobody else is in the picture after.
Going back to the Tech defense, they also botch a field goal late in the first half, does Duke, and they take the ball to open the third quarter. And once again, they get down to the goal line, and they can't score. Now, they shot themselves in the foot on a fourth down, but you hold them at that point to a field goal. So it's only, you're trailing at that point 10-7, because once again, this defense refuses. It's bend but don't break. And again, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to go out there and actually do it. And that's what Tech has been doing thus far. Syracuse is here on Saturday at noon here on The Fan, and the Jackets are 17.5-point favorites in that game.